is me at 150 pounds. I was out of shape and really tired all the time. I never had any energy to do anything really ever. And this is me now at 110 pounds and in the absolute best shape of my life. And as someone who's lost over 40 pounds naturally, one of the things I find most challenging is trying to go on vacation while still balancing your goals and living in a calorie deficit or living in some sort of healthier lifestyle without feeling like you're giving up things. And so today I want to share with you some tips and tricks, 5 to be exact, that I have learned in the several seasons of going on vacation while trying to navigate my weight loss and healthy living journey. And I really got to thinking about these on our last trip. I mean, I've taken 10 or 15 trips at this point with these strategies, and they've been extremely useful for me, and so I hope they serve to be useful for you as well. Number 5 was one that I really struggled with for quite a long time, and so I really want to know if you guys have struggled with this one, and if you have, how you navigate it now, and if the ways that I'm teaching you are useful for you. So make sure you stay around to the end of the video so you don't miss out on number 5. So let's get started. What's up, mamas? Alexandria here, 35-year-old toddler mom, therapist, and gym rat. Living in a calorie deficit is tricky enough while you're in your sort of natural environment, but to try to navigate and balance it while on vacation can be even more challenging because you have to deal with being outside of your typical environment, as well as navigate all the different temptations that might not exist when you're living in sort of your normal bubble of space, right? And so we have to set up our environment to help us establish and meet our goals. So tip number 1 is start with breakfast. Breakfast is, in my opinion, the most important meal of the day because it sets the tone for the day. And for us, we go to the store and we grab basically our protein essentials, usually like some protein shakes, some eggs. Let's see, what else do we usually grab? Like some Greek yogurt and things like that, so that we have those staples on hand for us in the fridge anytime we get hungry, and also helps us to be able to navigate breakfast first thing in the morning while we're still at our hotel room or in a house, which is what we were staying in this particular time. So you want to make sure that you're getting around 30 grams of protein first thing in the morning, and this sort of keeps your hunger cues and temptations at bay. So if you're already full, it's much less likely that you're going to just grab any and every sort of thing that you see when you're out and about, as opposed to just really grabbing the things that you actually want or actually interested in. Because there's a distinction between just sort of grabbing everything and selecting and choosing things that you're really interested in trying because you don't have access to those things at home. Speaking of mornings, my second tip is go ahead and get your movement out of the way early. This might be getting up and going to the gym first thing, or going ahead and getting your morning walk in, or whatever your type of movement that you prefer is. I recommend getting it out of the way first thing in the morning because, let's face it, once the day has started, the ship has probably sailed on you actually doing the movement or exercise that you were going to do. Now stay with me if you're not a morning person. I hear you, I see you. I did not used to be a morning person either. I am a morning person by toddler necessity. And if you're not a morning person, then I recommend trying the 2-minute rule that I mentioned in my exercise video. I'll link that for you. It's a super useful resource. Go check that out when you're done here. And in that video, I talk about the idea of using the 2-minute rule from Atomic Habits, which is basically where you do 2 minutes of something and then you stop. And so I want to encourage that if you're someone who doesn't feel like you can fit in exercise while you're on vacation, or maybe you really just don't want to, but you worry that the habit's going to go away, just commit to that 2 minutes of exercise at some point during your trip. Maybe it's the morning, maybe it's the afternoon, whatever fits in for your schedule, so that you're still maintaining that habit and you don't lose that habit while you're on vacation. So you've done some sort of movement, some sort of exercise. And maybe you don't want to do a full workout, and that's a-okay. I've been known to do my full workouts, but maybe you just want to go for shorter walks or prioritize movement in other ways, like being more active with your family as opposed to dedicating specific time at the gym. And that's okay too. What's worked for us is typically we join some sort of local gym, but I've also been known to carry weights and equipment with me in the past when there hasn't been a gym available. That's just what works well for me. Or you can also use your hotel gym, although be prepared. The only things they may have are a yoga ball and a foam roller. Just be prepared for that. So check that out first. Although I think there's actually a website where you can check and see what gyms have good equipment. My husband mentioned to me, so I'll link that if I can find it. That could be a useful resource. But my point is either using the 2-minute rule or getting it out of the way early. So you're setting the tone for the trip, that you are the healthy person that you say that you want to be, but also it just keeps you going on that habit so you don't have to worry about losing your momentum when you return from your trip. Tip number 3 is plan ahead. Make sure that you discuss with your group, whoever your group is, or maybe it's just you. Plan with your group and decide what meals you intend to eat out for and what days and times those are going to be, so that you have a better idea of where you need to manage your calorie budget throughout the day. For us, we typically prefer to do like a splurgy type dinner rather than a breakfast or lunch. And so to accommodate for that, we typically eat those higher protein, more calorie efficient meals for breakfast and for lunch. So we might have like yogurt bowls and turkey sandwiches or turkey wraps for lunch, so that by the time we get to dinner, we've still had high protein, but we have more calories to play with if we're living in more of a deficit. And that gives us a better opportunity to sort of stay full for longer and also feel like we're actually enjoying a meal and not just eating like the healthy stuff or whatever you want to call it throughout your vacation. You're still enjoying those meals or maybe some cocktails or whatever, but you've accounted for that in the other meals of the day. If you're a lunch person, you could do this with breakfast and dinner and make those your more efficient calorie meals. Or if you're doing breakfast, same goes. Make sense? Yes, I'm over explaining this. Sorry. My point is the meals that you're not eating out, make those your more calorie efficient, higher protein meals of the day, so that by the time you get to said indulgent meal or vacation meal, you're better prepared from a calorie standpoint. And again, this is really useful if you're living in a calorie deficit. If you're not living in a calorie deficit, then you don't necessarily need to be as mindful of things. And for us, we bring a food scale, not because we have to, we just like having a food scale with us. But we like having a food scale just to kind of see what we're consuming because we're mindful eaters. But you don't have to bring a food scale with you if you don't want to. I think you'll probably see a food scale in the picture and video that I'm showing you. So we did bring a food scale to weigh and measure things, but you don't necessarily have to do that if that's not what works for you. And if you're on vacation, you can also use the palm of your hand as measurement sizes for things if that feels less stressful to you while on vacation. And listen, if you're loving this content, I would absolutely love if you would subscribe and let me be your non-judgy mom friend who comes alongside you to help you reach your health and wellness goals. So tip number 4 is we're going to prioritize our hydration. I don't know why I'm Vanna Whiting it over here. We're going to prioritize our hydration. And the reason that we do this is because, especially if you're going somewhere over the summer and you're in the heat a lot, you're likely going to be more dehydrated than you were if you were not on vacation and sort of doing your typical routine, especially if you're training and being out in the hot sun, like for us, being at the beach. So I always pack hydration packets, like the little hydration water packets. For us, I like the sugar-free liquid IV personally, but I'm not that picky. It helps me to make sure that I'm recovering well, and also if I've been like consuming alcohol, that can also dehydrate you. And so I drink the electrolyte packets to sort of counteract that a little bit, so I'm better able to recover and better able to perform while on vacation. That could mean from a lifting sense, but that could also just mean from a being my best version of myself for my friends and family, whichever version you prefer. And so I like the hydration packets, and it also helps me to navigate my hunger and fullness cues a little bit better. I talked about in a recent video how sometimes you're actually thirsty and not hungry, and so it's important to be able to navigate the distinction between the two. And so if you drink enough water and you're staying well hydrated, you're much better able to navigate and understand those fullness and hunger cues. And tip number 5, I cannot go without saying this. Tip number 5 is give yourself some grace on all of this. Be the kind of person that not only takes care of themselves to live a healthy life, but also enjoys life. You get to write the story here. Don't allow yourself to get stuck in this mindset of, if I get off track, I'm never going to be back on track. I was completely guilty of this for such a long time. I was one of those people that was so scared that if I just like dropped off track, even like the slightest little bit with my exercise or with the way that I was eating, I was terrified that I was going to gain all of the weight back and lose all of my progress. So I've been there, and it can feel scary when you've been working this hard for a really long time to try to meet this goal. And so in that way, vacations can actually feel kind of scary because it's like, oh no, what am I going to do? But I promise you did not make all the progress and make all the gains that you've made so far in a single week. And so I promise you're not going to lose them all in a single week. And so if you decide, you know what, I am on vacation, I'm going to go where I want, I'm going to do what I want, you're allowed to do that. And it's okay. When you make it a choice and you say, hey, I'm choosing that I'm going to do these things, it's much easier than if you're calling it sabotage for yourself, because then you're not only indulging, but you're also feeling miserable about it. And nobody needs that kind of guilt in their life. Vacations are supposed to be fun and enjoyable. And so if you want to take the week off, take the week off and do what you want to do. And you don't need my permission to do this, certainly, but I feel like sometimes when you're on this journey, you like need permission to, does that make sense? But you really don't need my permission. If you want to take a vacation and you want to go and eat all the things and drink all the things, that is your prerogative. I certainly indulged in my share of cocktails while I was on vacation this trip, as well as having some ice cream and lots of different yummy food. And I recognize that, and I take that as this is me taking care of myself in a different way. And as I said, that doesn't mean that I didn't start back on, you know, all of the healthy living and healthy lifestyle things that I have going on when I returned from vacation. It just means that while I'm on vacation, I'm giving myself some grace and allowing myself to just enjoy life too, and enjoy the memories and enjoy my family. So these are the tips that I found super helpful. And if you've loved this video, then I will link the video that I mentioned to you about how to learn to love exercise, really tricking yourself into learning to love exercise, which I will link here for you. And YouTube will also make a recommendation that they think you'll love, and I sure hope you love it too. And until next time, bye friends.